Welcome to the first episode of Mo Mondays, hosted by myself, Mo Khalifa, partner technology strategist for Microsoft Teams Rooms devices across the EMEA region. This series is designed to come out on a Monday and, of course, hosted by myself, Mo, hence the name Mo Mondays. Be sure to drop a like or comment down below to let me know what you guys think of the name. This whole series is designed to be around bite-sized pieces of information around all things Microsoft Teams Rooms, whether we're talking sales tips, technical tips, or even the latest and greatest updates that are coming out, all designed to be in and around the 5-minute mark. So it makes it nice and easy for you to watch the latest content and get on with, no doubt, your busy days that you will have. Anyway, without further ado, let's get cracking. And in today's episode, I want to really start talking about, well, how do you start your conversations with your customers around Microsoft Teams Rooms devices? And usually when we start talking to customers, we talk to C-level staff members, we, kind of talk to people that look after hybrid work or the AV or the IT side of things. And I love to start off by showing off this particular slide. Hopefully everybody recognizes who this guy is. This is Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft. And during the midst of COVID, he made a comment saying everything becomes more complex, not less complex in hybrid work. What was he referring to? He wasn't referring to the technology. He wasn't referring to how hard is it to pull together a Microsoft Teams Rooms device. We all know they're pretty much plug and play type devices. But in actual fact, what he was referring to is he was referring to, well, how are people going to be returning back to work? Because the world is completely changed. It's never going to be the way it was previous to COVID. And we have to look at new ways of how we are returning back to work, especially now that people will still be wanting to work from home as well. And when we look at our customers, we kind of put them into three distinct bucket sets. And we'll start off on the left-hand side. We'll start off with Respond. Back in March 2020, when COVID-19 first hit, pretty much all organizations across the globe told their staff members to start working from home. And very quickly, IT teams and AV teams were scrambling around, trying to grab hold of every single laptop, every single webcam out there, just to get people set up working from home. If you were lucky enough, you probably were gifted with a chair or a desk to go along with it as well. That was what we call kind of Respond, where we're really quickly trying to get people to work, not from the office, but actually working from home. And in fact, some of the stats show that a lot of organizations that had timescales to deploy Teams Rooms of up to 12 months actually deployed them over a weekend. That's how quickly people needed to get working straight away. But if we fast forward to today, now that we're out of COVID-19 and we're now returning to this new way of working, it's never going to be the same again, right? People don't want to be working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, sitting at the same desk anymore. In fact, people want to be able to, or staff members want to be able to have that flexibility to be able to work from anywhere and on any device. And that brings me nicely onto our middle one, which is what we call Recover. What is our strategy for the immediate future? There were a lot of organizations out there that really got people up and running, working from home, but didn't really quite thinking of how are we getting people to come back to work once we're out of COVID, and never really set up their meeting rooms to be able to cater for this. We call these recovery. And these are the types of customers that really need guidance from yourself, from Microsoft, to really talk about, well, what is the world doing? How are organizations now starting to return back to work? And what do we need to do in order to create what we call equality across the meeting room space? On the far right, we have what we call Reimagine. These are the customers that actually during COVID were thinking about meeting room spaces and were kind of thinking about, well, once we get out of the quarantine and COVID-19 and people start returning to work, how do we ensure we create this great consistent experience that people are used to doing, that they've been doing at home? And the questions they tend to ask themselves is, well, how do we gear ourselves up for this new world of work? Because it's so dynamic, it's constantly changing, it's constantly moving. When we look at Microsoft's hybrid vision, we really take this into account. We have, a whole bunch of different things that we really look at. To start off with, we have what we call Hear and Be Heard, to ensure that audio is crystal clear. It enhances everyone's visual experiences as well. See and Be Seen. 3 years ago, if you never had your video switched on, it was normal. Nobody really questioned you. But now when you don't have your video switched on, it's kind of like, ooh, why don't you have your video switched on? You start feeling really embarrassed about it. And that's now become a really important point to ensure that we have clarity, we have inclusive views of everybody inside and outside of the meeting room spaces if you're joining in remote. And then, of course, if you're talking to more than one person, chances are you're going to do a bit of collaboration in there as well. So how do we get people working from a single canvas, a single whiteboard, a single Excel document? And those three combined create what we call immersive and inclusive experiences. Now, how do we actually talk to our customers about, how do we build these rooms? I love this slide. This slide really shows the types of meetings that take place. And the one biggest thing that you really want to talk to your customer about is, Mr. Customer, what types of meeting room personas do you have? What do we mean by meeting room personas? We mean the types of meetings that actually take place. And this particular slide was done before COVID-19. And at that time, 27% of all meetings were actually what we call meet and present, very similar to what I'm doing here today. I present to you, you present to me, we have a bit of a conversation, end of meeting. But on the flip side, 22% were doing meetings which were collaborative in nature, where 3 or 4 people are working on a single document, a single canvas to actually yield results at the end of it. So 2 major meeting room personas really popped up. And of course, since COVID-19, those numbers have jumped up significantly. So really try and identify from your customer, depending on the department, depending on the size of room, depending on where it's located in the building, what types of meetings do you think are going to be taking place in that particular meeting space? And that will really help you build and recommend the best meeting room experiences out there, what we call immersive spaces that are designed either for meet and present type scenarios or what we call meet and co-create. And in further episodes, I'm going to dive into more detail and give you little 5-minute snippets of, what is front row? What are immersive experiences? How do we collaborate inside of meeting room spaces? But there you go, folks. In 5 minutes, I wanted to kind of just give you what that starting information or that starting conversation should be with your customers. So with that in mind, I'm going to let you guys get back to work. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you enjoyed it, and keep an eye out on this YouTube channel. We'll start seeing some more episodes coming through, talking and going into more detail around Teams rooms. That's all, folks. That's me. I'm Mo Khalifa. Thank you so much.